I'm Jim Csek. You're watching KelownaNow. I'm here with Tania Gustafson for our column, like we do on I think every couple of weeks we do this.
Yeah.
Fit Nutrition.
Yeah, we have been.
Sponsor of the show.
Mm-hmm.
And we talk about, nutrition and health and stuff like that. And you've got an interesting topic today.
It's a hot topic. It's all of the Ozempic, the Wegovy, all the shots that are out there, all the shortcuts that people are using.
The shortcut to not having to modify your eating behavior, just eat what you want and...
Yeah, we're kind of diving right in, hitting the ground right in here. But I mean, originally these medications were put out there for diabetes, for diabetics, right?
Like insulin resistance.
Yes, to help control and level their blood sugars out because their blood sugars are all out of whack. They haven't been able to do that. The interesting thing when you dive in is you have to understand. So type 1 people are born with diabetes. They have a type 1. It didn't come on them later in life as they're doing lifestyle behaviors that aren't serving them, like type 2 diabetes, which used to be called adult onset diabetes. It used to be called that until so many children started to get it that they had to take the whole adult word out of there, and now it's just type 2 diabetes, which is all the things you've done or not done in a series over a length of time that has caused your body to break down, and then you have a metabolic disease. Yeah. So these shots, and I'm saying Ozempic and Wegovy, there's others, but those two are they're pretty close to the same, except the doses are different. So I was looking that up because I was wondering what exactly is the difference, because as I understood there wasn't, and there isn't really a difference in the in how it works, in the functionality of it, just the dose. So Wegovy, you can actually have a higher dose.
Right.
Okay. So it's very expensive, not even sure if it's going to be covered in Canada, number one. So you're paying out of pocket hundreds of dollars, maybe upwards of $400 a month, depending on where you are. I don't know. In the States, I am friends with a GI surgeon,
right?
Colorectal surgeon, and she it's $1,000 there. So it can fluctuate. It's very expensive, but it wasn't created to help those people who were born with a disease that they didn't do anything to get. It was designed for people who did things for it to come on, which I thought was really interesting, right? Because we can absolutely, there's tons of research behind that. We can absolutely reverse those things, those symptoms and those and the metabolic disorders that are happening when we change our food and change our lifestyle and come at it with an approach of health.
A tough thing for lots of people, though, that kind of it's food's almost addictive in so many realms.
So
addictive, sugar can be kind of...
Various.
It's hard to... I had a friend that overate, and then he would actually sit down with one of those 1-gallon ice cream jugs and watch a hockey game.
Wow.
And he said that he can't... to himself, he says it's like the wolf inside wants to eat. And he can't control it, so he's feeding the wolf. And he actually ended up ending an operation and his stomach stapled to kind of curtail some of his, it was just a strong urge for him.
Right. Yes. And there's a lot, mental mindset as well too there. We've talked about gut health on the show. We've talked about a bit about mindset. We didn't go too deep into it, but there's a lot of things that connect there, which then affect your choices. And like he was saying, with the wolf, that's absolutely true. The more things that you eat that feed the bad bacteria, because we have good and bad, and the more things that you eat that fuel the bad bacteria, what you feed grows, right? So the wolf is growing, and then something that's bigger needs more food, right? So then you have to, so it creates that cycle that it's hard to get out of. So a really good place to start would be to start putting in more good things. Yeah.
Because I know that even for myself sometimes, if you start down a path or whatever, and you have, I find it myself sometimes too, I'm getting better at it. Because if you're shopping in the sweets area, at the bakery, and you look at some of that stuff, it's it looks pretty enticing, right?
Yeah, so it does. No, for sure.
It's tough. It's tough to avoid that, right?
It is, especially if you're just starting that phase, because, you may have had, and maybe you're not a sweet person. Maybe some people, I've worked with clients that say, well, I don't really have the sugar cravings. It's more the salt or whatever. But what it is it's showing that you have an imbalance.
Yeah, it's the French fry. You know what I mean?
All the French fries are things instead of the chocolate. Maybe it's French fries. Exactly. It could be chips or
potato chips, right?
Exactly. Could be all of these things, all the processy, really high carbohydrate seed oils in a lot of things. All of these things create metabolic disorders, and they're very highly addictive. And food in itself, well, I say food loosely because those are food-like substances. There's not a lot of nutrition in them, right?
I have a question for you though on Ozempic, and there's another generic brand, or there's another name for it too though?
Well, I was just looking at Ozempic and Wegovy. Those are two of the brand names.
So is that very popular in Canada yet? I know that it was in the States, but is it very popular here now too?
It came in last year. It's quite popular to the point that when I was searching it, Health Canada was talking about the shortage of it and to watch out for imposters, basically, that were out there. So do
you have to get a prescription for it, or you can buy it over the counter?
Yeah, you do have to get a prescription for it. The thing is that it just, the way it was designed, and you have to understand, there's warnings on, I'm pretty sure everybody knows that there's a side effect for every prescription. Right? Every time you have a drug.
Every time you watch a commercial and it says, may cause this,
exactly.
this, and that's half the commercial.
If you have live TV, you're still seeing those. Absolutely. And so you got to know that there's some side effects. It's really, it's very sad to me that there's such stringent warnings on some of these things. And either people are A, not being told, B, they're not actually investigating and looking, or C, they are just so desperate that they are throwing that to the wind.
They're looking at the result and saying that's easier than having to curtail my eating habits, having to change my eating habits. Because for a lot of people, there's a good song by Loverboy, wasn't it? Working for the Weekend?
Yes, right? People do that.
And then so working for the weekend meant, getting that case of beer or that bottle of, or now wine or whatever. And it's food, and you get together with people, and it's food and beverage. Right. Right. And that the food tends to be, high sugar content and
sometimes
not I'm just saying, like, in the regular setting where I grew up, it was like, it was obviously not good food, and it was a lot of beverages. Right.
Yeah. But to know that, and I think people should still get together. They obviously should. Like, food brings people together, right?
A party though with carrots and hummus is not exactly the same.
You can still have the carrots and hummus, and you can have some other things too, right? I mean, you can have the burger and all the things, and just but then 3 hours later, you're back on track. You're back on your.
I know. I'm just saying, like, a lot of people, like, if I said, come to my house and we've got soda water, we've got carrots, hummus, and it's chicken breast.
Right.
And they're just like, well, I'm going to go to Bob's house. He's got chicken wings. He's got barbecue chicken wings. He's got beer. He's got wine. He's got, shooters and Jello shooters. And
but I mean, you can still do that and still have a healthy lifestyle approach. You really can. Yeah. And because that is part of our whole our whole lifestyle, because you're going to have Bob's barbecue sometimes, and you're going to have a wedding. I have a wedding to go to next week. My son's getting married. So, you're going to have all these things.
Take a Ziploc baggie with a dried out chicken breast.
No, I'm not. They're, we're doing an outside reception with barbecue and everything. And so I will eat that. But the point is, when you are, fueling your body on a regular basis and focused on things that create health in your body, those times where you go to Bob's barbecue or go to the wedding or go on a cruise or whatever, they are small blips in your radar. They are not catastrophic disasters that cause metabolic disease. I'm just saying
it's easy for somebody to say, I can continue to go to Bob's every weekend if I just take this drug or if I take this. And, do you know what I mean? It seems like, that's a quick fix. I can have both. The best of both worlds.
Yes.
And usually there's a price to be paid.
There is. And when it comes to using these things, I mean, like I said, there's a side effect to everything, right? And if you look, there's something called a black box warning or a box warning. They've changed it from black box to just box warning, but it's kind of known as the black box.
Kind of like in a cigarette package.
Kind of, when they changed that, yeah. But anyway, what that means is that is the most stringent label, the strongest labeling that they can have with regards to side effects on a drug. Yeah. And so I sent that to you just so you could see that picture. But I just pulled up the Ozempic website, and I did this before I got here. But if you want to see there, it actually says Ozempic there on my phone. And the side effects are, in bold on their own website, possible thyroid tumors, including cancer. And if you scroll down a little bit, it breaks it down into serious side effects and, regular side effects and all the things. So pancreatitis, so inflammation of your pancreas, changes in vision, low blood sugar, hypoglycemia, kidney problems or kidney failure, serious allergic reactions and gallbladder problems. So it goes on, it goes on and on. You can scroll and take a look. So if you just go to that site, you can see. But Ozempic and Wegovy both contain those black box warnings. So they have really high levels of warning that you need to be really aware of if you're taking. And same with, they do have contraindications to some other medications and things like that. So the point is, there's a lot of stuff that's happening where people are just, like you say, they're either so desperate or they're just wanting a quick fix. They're wanting
So I used to smoke.
Yes.
I started when in grade 6, and I think
I
quit around 23, 24 years old. But, they used to put the black box warning on there, and then they would do the thing and just like, smoking may cause death, cancer, blah, blah. And you're just like, sure, not to me, right?
Right? Yeah, and people do think, it's not going to happen to me. I'm not going to do it very long. Yeah.
I think when they started putting the pictures on, I think one of the moments for me for smoking was, I remember going to a restaurant because they used to have non-smoking smoking.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I know. It's kind of like having a peeing section in the pool, don't you think?
There you go.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I'd go to the restaurant and then she's smoking for you. And I'm just like, I didn't say. And of course I had a mustache at the time. There's nicotine stain on the mustache, nicotine stains on your teeth, and you smell like a cigarette.
And they know. It says it all over the place.
Yeah, it's like, and I was just like, eesh, okay, that's enough of this, right? So I quit.
Mm-hmm. The interesting thing with these,
just like it's hard to quit sugar.
That's what an addiction is, right? It's something that is pulling at you in different ways that's beyond your control, and so you need to find strategies that help you to circumvent that, to build better habits over top, to replace those habits.
And just like cigarettes, it took years to get rid of the urges. Years. Do you know what I mean? Like the urges would get further apart, but they would get stronger. Do you know what I mean? Like there's moments when you enjoyed that cigarette after, different things.
Yep.
And those moments would get really, really strong, but further apart. And then obviously now.
Right. Yeah. And they're associated with different things. Right. And so it's hard to separate
It's the same thing for alcohol for a lot of people and sugar.
Yeah.
Right. Like we associate those types of foods with fun events, birthdays, weddings,
all the Christmas
celebrations, right?
Celebrations,
we come
every
together
celebration,
and then we overindulge because it's the feast, right?
Yeah. And I think there's that misconception too that, hey, if I'm going to be eating healthier, which by the way, when people say they want to go on a diet, everybody means they're going to eat healthier, they're going to go to the gym, they're going to do whatever, even though sometimes they may be doing it in a way that's, probably, it could be a little damaging, but whatever. Their idea, I think, is that I need to get healthier, right? Yep. Isn't it interesting that we have to go on something in order to do the healthy thing that really serves our body, that we should just be doing, that should be our daily life. And the other stuff should be, I'm going to go over here and do this occasionally, as opposed to doing something that doesn't serve your body for a long time and then trying to, like when you cram for an exam in school, remember that? And you try and get it all done in one. So you try and like cram all the healthy into one little bit, hoping that it's going to give you back all that time, right? But if you're using any of these things, like the shots, that was the Wegovy or Ozempic, or drops like the HCG drops, or patches, things like that. Any type of those sort of things that you think are just going to be your miracle thing, they're not going to be your miracle thing, is my point, right? There's always a consequence. There's always a side effect. There's always a health concern with it. And the thing is that it may bring down your weight.
Right.
A lot of times it does, because diets will do that. But what sort of health is there happening on the inside? Because the number on the scale is simply that. It's the number. It's the measure of your body's weight according to gravity, right? It's not your measure of health. Right. It's not your measure of how you feel in your body, in your head, whether you're clear thinking, whether you have energy, whether you're sleeping well, whether for women, do you have hormone fluctuations and hot flashes, or all those things. Like, you can be a great number on the scale, and none of those things can also come with it, right? So there needs to be focusing on health and those six plates we talked about, right? Food is your foundation. So getting your balanced food in, your proteins, fats, and carbs. Yes, you can eat carbs. You're supposed to, do that. Just try and avoid the processy ones as much as possible.
Don't eat carburetors.
No, and not carburetors. No. He knows I use his car analogies. And do that frequently throughout the day. Eat many times in small portions and prioritize your protein and make sure you're hydrated. The majority of the liquid you take in should probably be water, not coffee. Just saying. Move your body with intention every day.
I used to drink coffee all day long. And my dental hygienist said, "What are you doing to your teeth?" Ooh. And so I only drink coffee now during my workouts. Yep. And then, and obviously then I use a very good dental hygiene program app. Now she's like, "How do you get your teeth so white?" So
well, you stopped doing the thing that was causing the problem. Isn't that amazing how that works?
But it's just like, and here's an easy way for you to test it just yourself if you're listening.
Okay.
You're drinking coffee.
Yep.
And you do it all day long, and you have 3 or 4 coffees or whatever, and then you wonder why your teeth are stained. Just even after you've stopped drinking for 10 minutes or whatever, go to a sink or a glass and just spit in the sink.
Oh.
Guess what's going to come out?
Probably coffee-ish stuff.
Yep.
I don't drink coffee, so
But I'm just going to say it's sitting in your mouth the whole time, right?
Yeah.
Like that, and caffeine is obviously like leave coffee, let it put that much coffee in the bottom of a cup, and then just leave it. And then guess what? That stain is very hard to get out of that cup.
It is, yes. It also will mold if you leave it too long, just saying.
Well, I mean, but I'm just saying that coffee is very staining.
Yeah,
right?
It will, yeah. So it's a good representation, right? What you just said was a good representation. You're doing something, it's causing a thing. You can actually see the results. And interesting, all you did was remove the thing that was causing the problem.
Yeah, because a little bit of caffeine, I think, like a lot of people say, a little bit of caffeine is good for you. Mm-hmm. And just obviously, different, instead of just like having it as a crutch all day long, right? And you'll probably find you sleep better. You probably find, you know what I mean?
You will.
If you're not filling that cup all day long.
Right. Well, if you are prioritizing those other things that we just talked about, because primarily people are, correct me if I'm wrong, drinking their coffee in the morning or in the middle of the afternoon because they are just so tired. They're they need that boost in the morning, and then they barely get through lunch or they've had that meeting and they're just like, oh my gosh,
I find if you take a AA battery and just put it in your mouth. I'm kidding. It's a joke.
I know. There's dad jokes. There's also gym jokes.
The better thing to do, though, instead of going for the coffee or the battery,
the battery,
it's just go outside for a second.
Oh,
do you know
yeah,
what I mean?
for sure.
Just
and
go outside and get some fresh air.
Hydrate. Get
walk
some
outside
water.
the office and just go for a quick walk.
Yeah.
Those kind of things, or hydrate, or do something.
And most people, honestly, they haven't eaten enough during the day. So it's like your fuel gauge is low on your car, or in Tesla, your battery is running low. And you need to charge up because it's just like that little jolt is only going to get you going so far, and then you're going to come back down.
And if you notice that your breath is getting shallow, take a couple of deep breaths, right? Because you know what I mean? As your breath gets shallow, just like when you're falling asleep, your breath starts to get shallow.
Yeah.
That's not me.
Nope. Something thinks you're talking to it. All these electronics, sometimes we say things and they talk back. I don't know. Yeah. But no, absolutely right. And when we put all these things into place, then the mechanism by which those drugs are using to help to stabilize blood sugar, which is why it was made for diabetics, right? Type 2 diabetics. And when you stabilize your blood sugar, your body naturally releases stored fat. So they're forcing your body into doing that. Whereas if you prioritize protein, eat frequently throughout the day, don't skip meals, drink lots of water, move your body naturally comes into balance. You're creating hormonal balance in your body. These are hormones that they're messing with to make your insulin and your glucagon to make them balance you. But you can do that with your food and your approach every day. And it's super, super simple. I've got a 2-step approach that I share with people. It's super easy.
Yeah, and if you'd like to eat a lot, make your body more active because it'll burn that fuel. Right?
Well, it will. Yeah. And that's the whole point. You will want to eat more. And I've had clients that say, oh my gosh, I'm feeling so hungry. And they get a little panicky. Mm-hmm. And what that is, that's a great sign. It means your metabolism is turning on. The engine is firing up. It's like in your car, you filled it up with fuel and now you're ready to go on a long trip again. You've fired up your engine. And it's a good thing because now it's running nice and smoothly.
There was a player that played for the Calgary Flames that would eat a Big Mac meal before the every game. That was his pregame meal.
Oh boy.
Everybody else looked at him like, what are you doing? He said, if the engine's hot enough, it'll burn anything.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Okay. And now there's those seed oils in there. Just is throwing fuel on the fire. He needs a fire hose to put that one out. No, there's a lot of better things that you can put in your system besides a Big Mac. Let me tell you.
We billeted Rockets, and they had a very strict routine because I remember trying to like change their thing.
Oh, okay.
And they would come back after the game and say, we got to stick just with the dry pasta and the dry chicken breasts because, you know, like putting in heavy foods.
Yes.
And you're in the second and third period and you're just like, you think you're going to throw up, right? So
yeah. Yeah, it's just a bit too much. There's a fine line for sure.
Right type of fuel they're playing at a really high level.
They are, absolutely. And so it's a little different for athletes, of course. You know, there's going to be a few different things or just more of it because they're burning at a higher rate. Right. But the principles are the same, I should say, like that you need to balance those hormones and your blood sugar. That is key for all the metabolic functions. And if we're not, that's why we're in such a big mess.
Just think you bought a fancy car.
Yep.
You can't put the cheap gas in it.
No.
Right? And if you want to think of your body as a fancy car, don't put the cheap gas in it.
Well, you can either drive the old jalopy, the clunker,
right?
Or you can drive
Make it look
Ferrari,
like a clunker
right?
too, right?
Yeah. So the whatever fuel you're putting in, that's what you're going to get out of the performance, right?
So so if you want to drive it home, we can end it there.
I mean,
what you put in is what you get out.
Absolutely.
Kind of thing, right? Yeah. You are a combination of the molecules that you put in.
Absolutely.
There you go. How's that?
I love it.
Deep, right?
Very deep.
There you go.
Deep with Jim.
And thank you for watching KelownaNow.